everyone, good afternoon and happy Lord's Day to all of you. Welcome back to Online Hangouts, and this is episode 3 of the series, or the book that we are discussing, which is The Whole Story of the Bible in 16 Verses by Bruno. It is still free sa Scribd, so if you want to keep track of what we're discussing, the lesson that we'll be having for today, you can download Scribd on Google Play Store or the App Store, or the link that I will be posting on this video, which is in www.scribd.com/readfree. So same sa first 2 episodes, please keep track of our lesson for the day in a separate journal, and you can write it down para magkaroon kayo ng notes, and you can ibang ma-review as we go by in these episodes in every chapter that we'll be discussing on this book. So let's get started! Today we will be discussing on chapter 3, but before moving on to the next chapter, we will have a review on chapter 1 and 2. So in chapter 1, which is entitled The Creation, the story so far in chapter 1 is God created a kingdom and He is the king. But He made human beings to represent Him in that kingdom. And what we have learned so far is that God is the prime author of the Bible, and to truly know the Bible, we must first know God. Chapter 1 shows the authority of God and gives us an idea of what He's like and who He is. He is the king. God declared what He made as good. He spoke and the creation obeyed, which represents a harmony between the Creator and His creation. And in chapter 2, which is entitled Human Beings, as a pinnacle of creation, God created human beings. God created human beings in His own image to represent Him in the kingdom that He has created. Human beings are relational beings. Human beings have 2 roles. First is to fill and subdue the earth, and second is to have dominion over the earth. So let's now tackle our discussion, which is chapter 3, entitled The Fall. So again, we learned that God created everything to be good, and inatasan niya yung human beings para mamuno sa whole creation. At kung paano mamuno yung Diyos, ganun dapat mamuno ang mga human beings. Pero lately, napapansin natin, and as what I have said sa nakaraang video, na parang mahirap pagkatiwalaan tayong mga tao para mamuno at, to oversee all of creation. Lately, I have been watching a limited series on Netflix, which is Our Planet. And napansin ko doon na every time the narrator says na parang nagdi-deplete yung creation, or kaya nagsasubside yung growth ng animals, ng fishes, dahil sa pangingisda na sobra-sobra, medyo nalulungkot ako. And I feel responsible for that part kasi bilang mga tao, we are stewards of God to take care of creation, pero hindi nga natin naalagaan yung creation. And so, ayun, nakita din natin ngayong taon, this year 2020, at the start of the year, parang napakahaba ng January, yung February, kung ano rin nangyari, yung March, pumatak na yung COVID season, and up until now, we are still stuck to our homes because of this virus. At yung virus na ito, it springs from a whole different root, which is corruption. So, saan nga ba nanggagaling yung corruption na to? So, alam naman natin yung story sa Bible when we were kids na tinempt ng snake, or sabi nila serpent, si Adam and Eve into falling out of the grace of God. So the fall started when Adam and Eve turned their backs on God, the time where Eve entertained the serpent and Adam did not exercise authority towards the serpent. So the serpent enticed and deceived Eve into eating the fruit that will make one wise. Tapos, tinanong pa ng serpent, did God really say that you will die if you take part of this fruit? Tapos, inisip ni Eve na, well, in this way of saying, na hindi naman yata niya sinabi yon. So, she took part of the fruit, hindi siya napagilan ng asawa niya, which is supposed to be dapat pinigilan siya ng asawa niya because her husband knows that they will really die kapag nag-take part sila sa fruit na yun. But they did, anyway. And so, doon na sila nahulog sa kasalanan. And this fall made death possible, not just physical death, but also spiritual death. That's why in the Bible, it is said that we are dead to our trespasses and our transgressions. Dito, sinasabi sa Bible din na it became our nature, our sinful nature is inevitable kasi eventually mamamatay din tayo sa end ng life natin. But again, the Lord has made His ways, and we will tackle that in the next few chapters. So, to continue, Adam and Eve were no longer able to walk with God in the cool of day sa loob ng garden na kung saan sila nilagay ng Diyos. Because God is holy and we became sinful nature, we cannot have fellowship with God because seeing God, nung mga panahon na yun, seeing God and speaking to God and touching God, which is, I think, is impossible then to touch God because He is transcendent. You cannot stand a holy being. Okay? Meron tayong mga joke na, kunwari, mga priest or mga madre na, pag hinawakan kita, masusunog ako. So, parang ganun yung depiction ng holiness. Kung we keep on having fellowship with God, it will be impossible because we are of sinful nature. And their fellowship and relationship with God was destroyed dahil nga break nila yung kasunduan na sabi ni Lord, you will rule over this earth and you will be under my command. Kung paano ko kinocommand ang buong earth, ganoon din kayo mamumuno. And Adam and Eve broke that kasi hindi nila sinunod yung Panginoon. So, nakakalungkot man isipin. But, that is the truth. Each one of us has reflected as to what Adam and Eve had done kasi sila yung ating ancestors. And kung ano yung naging, di ba sinasabi na napapasa daw yung utang, ganun. Kung ano yung naging kasalanan nila back then, napapasa siya from generation to generation, iba't ibang kasalanan. You will see in the whole story of the Bible, it is made up of generations na patuloy pa ding nahuhulog sa kasalanan because our forefathers, which is si Adam and Eve nga, they fell into sin. And, we have rebelled against God. So, how do you even define sin? Sin is something that you do when you rebel against God. If we question God's authority, gaya nga nung ginawa ng serpent, if we question God's authority, na totoo ba Lord na hindi naman kami mamamatay dito, parang nakaka-offend yun sa Panginoon at in that way, nagkakasala tayo. Kasi we question the authority of God. God knows how to take care of us as His creation. And to question the authority of God is something that we must not do because we are not God at all. We are playing God if we are questioning the authority of God. And that is why we must keep ourselves in check in that area because we can commit sins every day now without knowing that we are unconsciously making sin kasi nga it is already in our nature. So we must always check ourselves if we are doing the right thing in front of the Lord, which is 100% of the time sobrang hirap. But with the help of God, we can go through with His grace and we can eventually do the right thing. But dahil nga ang Lord ay mabuti, this is not the end of everything. Kung ito yung tinitingnan natin end na, mamamatay rin pala tayo, there is still hope in the next few chapters that we will be discussing next. There is still hope, and this hope is our redemption. And God said in Genesis 3 verse 21 that God did not leave Adam and Eve naked. He provided clothes for them. This shows a picture of redemption, like I said. And hindi pa rin pinabayaan ng Diyos na magtuloy-tuloy ang pamumuno ng kasamaan sa mga tao. Gumagawa siya ng paraan to keep us back into the track of being good. So, we can see in the other stories of the Bible, from Joseph, from his father Jacob, lagi pa rin tinatama ng Panginoon ang kanilang mga daan because He has a plan for them na they will be redeemed soon. So, hindi pa rin nga pinabayaan ng Lord ang kanyang mga tao. This word redemption that God has made will continue to unfold its beauty and will be discussed further sa chapter 4 and sa mga susunod pang chapters ng ating series. So, the word redemption, madagdag ko lang, the word redemption is from the root word redeem. Kapag, kunwari, sa sanlaan, kailangan mong tubusin pabalik yung sinanla mo, that is redeeming. But in the way of the Lord, redemption is getting us back into His presence and back into track, like what He is continuously doing for us and the other generations that were shown in the Bible and their stories. It is a wonderful plan of the redemption that the Lord has weaved all together for our own good. And sabi nga, like I'll always hold on to this promise in Romans 8:28, all things work together for the good of those who love Him, who are called under His purpose. The story so far is that God created the kingdom and He is the king, but He made human beings to represent Him in that kingdom. Adam and Eve rejected His call, which led to sin and death. And our passage is in Genesis 3 verse 6 to 7, which says in the shortened version, she, or si Eve, took of its fruit and ate. Discussion questions are at the end of this video, and we are hoping that you will be answering and reflecting on these questions on a separate journal so that we can keep track of our progress here in our series, The Whole Story of the Bible in 16 Verses. See you next week for our online Hangouts, and God bless!